Hello friends and fellow VEDSies. I believe it's September 23rd, but I could be entirely wrong about that. I'm walking into the woods again. So I don't know entirely why, but for some reason I got it into my head that I really wanted to talk about some of the computer games that I played as a child. People always look at me funny when I tell them this. They can't believe it when I tell them this, but I never had an actual gaming system as a child, which my girlfriend finds very amusing, especially when I attempt to play some of the games that she has and fail miserably just because I didn't grow up playing these games. Pretty exclusively, all of the games that I played as a child were computer games, games for the PC. At some point when I was like, I don't know, maybe 3, Mom acquired our family's first computer, which she would use to write her sermons. And this was in the 80s, so this was a pre-Windows computer. Pretty much the only things you could do on this computer were type, and there was a greeting card program which was only accessible through a floppy disk, and when I say floppy disk, I mean a floppy disk that was actually floppy, one of the huge things. And then when I was in first grade, we got our first Windows computer. It had Windows 3.1 on it, so the only games that we could play at the time were Solitaire, Minesweeper, and Paint. And we did eventually get actual games. A lot of the games that I played in elementary school were the Learning Company games. I don't know if anybody here played the Learning Company games, like Treasure Math Storm, Treasure Mountain, Treasure Cove, those types of games. They were basically games where you were this anonymous adventurer and you had a rivalry with this, kid with really, really weird hair and a mustache named Morty Maxwell, I think, something like that. But you'd always have to collect something or other, and you collected something or other by answering questions, either questions that were language or literacy based or questions that were math based, generally. And then I remembered when I graduated to the next level of games and started playing games like Midnight Rescue, where there was actual stuff at stake. Like, I remember Midnight Rescue in particular was really, really cool because there was actually a way you could lose the game. There was really no way you could lose the little kids games. And round 3 done. The 2 hardest games from that company that I played in it, at least, were Ancient Empires and Operation Neptune. Ancient Empires was basically a puzzle game. You were sent to these various ruins or caves or whatever in various ancient empires. You had to collect these artifacts and then you had to put them together and figure out what they were. But along the way there were spiders and snakes and bats and all manner of animals that could hurt you and pretty much actually kill you, like you actually died in this game. Same for Operation Neptune. It was definitely a math game. All the questions were math-based, but you were a submarine, and every time you got hit by a sea creature, like a stingray or a pufferfish, you lost oxygen, and if you lost all your oxygen, of course, you died. And then, like I mentioned yesterday, there was the Companions of Xanth game, which is based on a fantasy series by Piers Anthony, which takes place in a fantasy land called Xanth. Xanth is based predominantly on puns, and therefore the puzzles in this game, and this was predominantly a puzzle game, the puzzles in the game are based on puns. And I just remember I was playing it and my parents were both playing it, and there was one point in the game we got to it and we were stuck there for a year and a half. We couldn't move forward because we couldn't figure out what it was we were supposed to be doing. And then finally, between the 3 of us, we figured it out, but it took us forever to get past that. Round 4, almost finished, except I'm an idiot and forgot the hat that I need. And so the pinnacle of my PC gaming experience came with the Myst games. These were also essentially just puzzle games. Like, there's no action or anything, it's just puzzle games. But what's great about these games is that, at least in the first one, you're plopped down on this island and you have no idea what you're supposed to do. All you can do is wander around and explore, but you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, you don't know what your task is, you don't know really how you got to the island, you don't know anything about it. You're just on this island and you have to figure out what to do from there. This is another game that we were stuck on for a really long time, but to be fair, part of that is because the resolution on our computer wasn't so good, so we couldn't really see what we were supposed to see. But that game and the 4 games that came after it in that series probably represented the most advanced PC games that I ever played. Oh yeah, and there was also a game called Lemonade Stand. This wasn't a Windows game, this was on a windowless computer. But you were given a weather forecast and you had to decide how much you were going to charge for lemonade, and then you made money from the lemonade sales, and how much you charged, and the weather depended on how much money you made, and it was actually a pretty decent game for kids. So that's it. That's my PC gaming experience. The Learning Company games, Companions of Xanth, the Myst games, and the Lemonade Stand game. Did any of you play some of these games? And what sort of games, PC or otherwise, did you play as a kid? Hey, I actually have a comment question. I never have comment questions. This is awesome. And that's gonna do it for me for today. So until tomorrow, VEDSies, see you later. Now I'm doing the Coded Lock Films sign off. Is there anything about me that's original?